Dearest pen pals, it's that time of year again, and back to school is upon us. For this year's back to school supply list, I recruited the youthful perspective of our Berkley-bound intern, Phoebe. Together, we'll review essential tools to bring to class. Alright, so as I mentioned, we have a very special guest. This is Phoebe. Phoebe is going to Berkeley in the fall, and she wanted to provide some of her input on several different products that we sell at goldspot.com, of which she felt were particularly appropriate for back-to-school supplies. So, Phoebe, introduce yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Phoebe. As Tom previously mentioned, I work full-time over the summer, and I worked here and there at Goldspot before that too. And I just wanted to provide some of my insight because over this time I've been at Goldspot, I've really learned to love a lot of the products here. And I think, especially from a college perspective, it's a little bit different just because we do have several different criteria than, I'd say, the average fountain pen or stationery consumer. So, Tom, do you want to get into those criteria that I, as a college student, might have?
Well, I think you'd be particularly sensitive to budget. Broke college student isn't a stereotype that just kind of is existing out of thin air. It, is very much a reality. And when it comes to most of our fountain pen enthusiast pen friends that we talk to, it tends not to be so much of an issue when you could spend, which good for you if you could spend $300, $500 on a fountain pen, but, when it's a college student, you have to be pretty budget sensitive. You're not just necessarily looking at just budget, the cheapest of the cheap. You want the item that's something that's built to last. So you want something that at least lasts you the 4 years of high school or college, or even longer than that. And there's plenty of things that are still budget conscious, but will last a pretty long while. And then also that it will make your work, your studying, and your writing fun. It has to be enjoyable. It has to be something that you actually want to pick up and use and come back to again and again and just enjoying the process of it. So let's take a look at the best pens for writing and note-taking. This is the Carandash, and this is considered the 844. A lot of people will be familiar with the 849 because it's the ballpoint pen version, but this is the mechanical pencil version, which looks exactly the same as the ballpoint, but yet you've got yourself a 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil that's there. I picked the hot pink lacquered style because I figured you might like the hot pink more than the other colors, but there's a lot of colors in this collection so that you could get a blue, a yellow, fluorescent, you get a white or a black matte version. So there's a lot of different things to choose from to fit your personal style. That's going to be good for for anything that you would need a pencil with. And it's also got a very iconic hexagonal style, which is very reminiscent of a number 2 pencil.
Yeah, normal pencil, a traditional pencil. And I think that for me as a incoming college student, I really need pencils a lot more than I used to, because a lot of things such as math in particular require a lot of writing and a lot of erasing, because believe me, I'm prone to mistakes, especially in the subject of math. So pencils are perfect for that. And I really love the hot pink. You're right on that decision there.
And there's also, what you were saying about erasers, there's an eraser underneath the cap too.
Oh yeah?
So you can pull off the cap and then there's a replaceable eraser there.
Oh no, I can't get it off. Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Oh wow, that is so cute. I really like it. I love the hexagon too.
So that originally retail price, any of those 844 mechanical pencils are $24, but we sell them on goldspot.com for $19.95. If you wanted to go for something a little bit more fancy and also coffee infused, there is a Carandash and Nespresso set of woodcase pencils that's here that I think that any aspiring caffeine-fueled college student would probably enjoy, because of the fact that there's a recycling story that comes with these, in that Nespresso actually takes 25% of the leads that are in here and actually uses recycled coffee grounds in the leads themselves. So if you want to take a look at that, well, I just talk about it a little bit more. So they're also made responsibly with sourced FSC Swiss beechwood, which I think that's the primary reason why it has like such a distinct style and like the patterning of the wood and also like the texture, and also too like it has like a very distinctive like fragrance to it, unlike any other pencil I think that you could find. Like, so not any Dixon Ticonderoga pencil, but like it's got a very like satisfying like scent about those pencils, which it doesn't smell like coffee, but yet coffee could smell like that, because coffee can sometimes have like very like woody notes and things like that. So like it could, you know, it doesn't smell like a fresh brewed cup of Nespresso coffee, but like it could smell like it could be like a coffee.
I think it smells like a combination between like good smelling wood as well as a freshly brewed cup of coffee.
A little bit of coffee in there too. So these come in a set of 3. They are limited edition, and they originally sell for $24.75, but we sell them on the website for $19.80. So it is pretty pricey for a pencil, especially one that eventually you'll have to completely replace, because it's not like a mechanical pencil you just buy extra leads for. So it is a consumable item, but yet you kind of feel good about the recycling aspect of it. And also it's really high quality. Caran d'Ache is like really well known. They started out as a pencil company way back in the day, and they are really well known for their pencils. So that, and also the very appealing smell, I think is something like that gives you just that extra dimension of satisfaction when you're using the writing tool there. All right, so next up on our list, I think, is a personal favorite of Phoebe's.
Yeah.
Because when I picked this out and I was grabbing this from the shelves, she was like, friction! And so this is the Pilot Friction, and we wanted to go with something that was going to be a 4-color or a 3-color multi-pen, so that you could then be able to switch colors at just a moment's notice while writing. And the Friction has the additional benefit of the Friction ink technology, which is thermoreactive, so that it allows you to erase the ink on the paper, which is something very unique. It's not something that other ballpoint pens do or other gel pens do. If you want to tell a little story about your fascination with the Friction pen, you know, that this would be a good time.
Yeah, so I first found the Friction when I was in high school, and I actually found it in one of the hallways. It was just on the ground in the hallway, and I saw it and I was like, that's such an interesting looking pen. So I picked it up and I decided I'm going to start using it. And so I kept on using it and I fell in love immediately, and I finished the entire all the ink in the pen. So I went on Amazon, bought more, and then ever since I've just been in love with the Friction. I just think it's super convenient because there is the Friction technology that allows you to erase it, and unlike other erasable pens, it actually erases pretty cleanly in my opinion. So it doesn't leave marks. And in high school, for example, I had this bio class where I had to take a lot of color-coded notes, and it allowed me to take notes without having a lot of scribbles in it or a lot of crossing out in it, so I really appreciated that.
Awesome. Yeah. So, but this one particularly has got the 3 different colors that just come out by just switching out the different tips that are there, and then on the very top is where you've got the little nub that's kind of the friction aspect of it. So like you would be able to then just erase it with that nub, and it would just react to the rapidness of it. So like it wouldn't leave behind necessarily, like you wouldn't be scraping off like the front part of the paper, like you would just be creating enough friction heat in order to heat up the ink and then make it disappear.
Yeah.
So that's probably like one of the coolest like ink type pens that we have. That's the most unique and also very affordable, because like you're looking at this pen is originally $16.35 as a multi-pen, and then it also includes a pack of 3 replacement cartridges too, so that when you do run out of the first 3 cartridges, you could then just use what comes with it to refill it. But we have it on sale for $12.95. And it does also come in a black version too. So this is the white version, but there's also a black style as well. As well as the suggestion for the pencils, I want to go a little bit higher end for the multi-pen as well. So this is the Lamy 2000 4-color pen, of which is made in Germany and is made from a really cool material called Macrolon, which is kind of a combination of fiberglass and resin. So it's got like a lightweight feel, it's got a unique texture, it's paired with stainless steel, and what that actually operates on is a gravity-based selection mechanism. So like you see how you're just kind of getting the red point there? So it depends on what color, and you can see at the very top there, what color do you have facing upwards towards the sky? So you have to kind of turn it on its side and then just change it that way. So that you would get red. You would get red when the red is facing upward. You would get blue when the blue is facing upward, and so on. So this is like one of the really the coolest and highest end multi-pens that we have, because it is based off of the Lamy 2000 fountain pen, which is like one of the most awesome like pens of all time. Basically, it was a design came out of the 60s and still is an awesome pen design today. So this 4-color pen really gives you that nice like space age sort of feel and that luxury feel of a like a Lamy 2000, but gives you the innards of a multi ballpoint pen. So it's like a really nice like upscale luxury type version, but it's really not all that expensive so much, because like it's originally $99, which I know, yes, college student, it's a lot of money, but like, hey, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, you're looking for something after graduation or like before going back to school, like it's like, oh, I had my eye on this Lamy 2000 that these kind folks at Goldspot Pens were showing, and it's on sale at $79.20. So I think that would be really cool for me to be able to take notes with. I just figure it'd be nice to like have also something that's a little bit more higher end, is just to show you the range that's capable here. This is the first time that you've seen this pen, and we were talking about this when we were like wrapping up all the items, so yeah. I wanted to kind of get your impression on that.
I really like it. I wrote about this in one of the Goldspot articles, but I didn't realize that it was multicolored. So that's such a big plus. And I really like the technology. I think that's really, really cool. And I also really like the material. I've never held something that was made with fiberglass and resin, was that what you said? But it feels like an expensive wood.
Yeah.
Very high-end wood.
Right.
Yeah. So, Mom, if you're watching this and you're thinking about getting me a gift, you know to get me now. Yeah, I really like it.
And to round out our suggestions for best note-taking and writing pens, we have the Retro 51 Tornado Rollerball. This is the Twilight Snowfall finish, of which is an exclusive special design that we have at Goldspot Pens. However, they do start with just the basic classic lacquers at $30 retail and $24. That's usually on the sale price on the website. The appeal, I think, of the Retro 51 Tornado, other than like its really strong kind of tapered shape and the knurled twist top mechanism and the smooth flow of the rollerball cartridge, is that it comes in a really wide array of different styles, and particularly with like students, I think there's a couple of cool ones you could kind of go with. The Dr. Gray, it's got an anatomy of a human skeleton. The Dimitri, which is a periodic table of elements, which if you're a chemistry student, that would be really cool to like bring with you, so you can have like a little cheat sheet as you're taking the exam. And then you have Albert, which has the equation for E equals mc squared. And then there's also space themed ones like the Shuttle Discovery as well. So this one is just like an example of one that we produce as a limited edition with Retro 51. But there's just so many other styles that are out there that could match with whatever interest that you have. So everything from like history, and there's like stuff with the Smithsonian, there's themes of like old military, World War II history sort of things. There's just like so much Retro 51 like Americana sort of styles that are out there, so it really does have like a very wide range to meet with your particular interest. And then also too is you could swap it out for just a standard Parker style type ballpoint too.
And I think that's really cool. I think that's a really big appeal, is that there's like you can interchange it between rollerball cartridge and a ballpoint cartridge. And along with the other designs that you talked about, I just want to give a special shout out to the pizza one. That is a personal favorite of mine. It's actually a Goldspot exclusive, and I really like that one, so you should check that one out if you get a chance. And
Chris designed it, so he's like nodding his head behind the camera.
That's funny.
Alright, so a lot of our fans that watch this channel might be like really eager and possibly upset with us at this point, because we haven't mentioned any fountain pens, and that tends to be like one of the big like draws of our website, of course, is talking about fountain pens. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about some fountain pens for students, and one of them that came up recently was the new entry-level TWSBI Swipe, which was just brand new. We actually sold out, I think, of the Prussian blue style. So this is the smoke color. This is a brand new release from TWSBI, and it's their first cartridge converter fountain pen, as opposed to all of their other fountain pens have been piston fill, which is the TWSBI Eco. So the swipe, we'll talk about the swipe first. We'll talk about the Eco too, because I think that's worthwhile in talking about. But we wanted to get a nice look at this one because this is a brand new design. So it actually has the same nib as the TWSBI Eco, along with the same range of nib grades going from extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and a 1.1 millimeter stub. The main difference between the swipe and the Eco, of course, is the filling mechanism. So with the swipe, what's installed right away is a big piston converter that's actually spring loaded, and you see like the spring that's in there. You've seen other converters before to see like that this is a really big converter. Like I think TWSBI kind of went above and beyond with the converter because they wanted to show that you could get some pretty good ink capacity, even though it's a converter type pen. And then also TWSBI also includes a giant converter that's like a traditional piston converter. So like this operates by the usual method of just screwing down the piston. And then it also includes a TWSBI ink cartridge, which are actually, the fittings to them are international compatible, but like the size of the barrels of these things are pretty big, and I don't think that they may fit in most interior diameters of fountain pens. But like that's the reason why, is because they want to give you a lot of ink capacity for what you usually expect with TWSBI. And then also they put in another spring that's here, so if you wanted to install the cartridge, you could install the cartridge and then put the spring in the back of the barrel so that it provides the ample tension to keep the cartridge seated while you're, let's say, going out or like, commuting with your, pen and whatnot. So being that this is the first time you've seen the TWSBI, this is the first time that I'm kind of opening up one and checking it out. What do you think of this TWSBI swipe? Would you swipe right or swipe left on the TWSBI swipe?
I really like it. I like the color. Is it pull? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's also really cool that there's two converter options, because like for me, I just look at what's more convenient. But I think it's pretty cool that they also have a spring. And as I said, I really like the color. I really like the transparency of it, and that way you can also see how much ink's inside, which is super convenient, because for me, I don't know if I broke the fountain pen or if it won't write or if there's no ink in it. So knowing how much ink in there, that's really important for me. So yeah, overall I really like it.
Now, which one would you choose to start off with? Would you try the converter first, or would you just go with the ink cartridge?
I would go with the ink cartridge first, because when I first used fountain pens, I also used the ink cartridge, and then as I worked here more, I started to go more into the converter just because people here could help me with it. But the ink cartridge is usually less expensive and also more convenient in my personal experience.
And like usually the standard international cartridges would be much smaller and not have like a lot, but these TWSBI cartridges are huge, so it's not necessarily that you'd run out pretty quickly. Have you seen like anybody, like let's say in your previous experience in school, like have you seen people write with fountain pens before, like, or before coming here? I just was curious about that.
Yeah, I actually have a couple friends who asked, not me, but just asked in terms of Secret Santa for fountain pens for Christmas, because I think while I understand why a lot of people think like people in America, especially like children, don't use fountain pens, there are a lot of people who actually think it's really cool and want to get into it. So the market's, I still think it's there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're in trouble. All right, cool. So then we could also talk about then the TWSBI Eco, which is the kind of the standard bearer in terms of the starter fountain pen, or the starter piston fill fountain pen. Just to kind of also recap too, is that the TWSBI Swipe sells for $26.99. The TWSBI Eco sells for $6 more at $32.99. That's starting off with like your standard color styles. There's also a couple of luxury finishes where they put like rose gold, and that ends up being a little bit more pricey. But for your baseline model, your base model here, this TWSBI Demonstrator is really a powerhouse when it comes to this starter pen, and it's because of this piston fill mechanism. So you could fill up the entire barrel here. It kind of looks like a vape pen, which I know is like, somewhat of, I guess, I don't know if it's an appeal to the generation now, but like I know there's a lot of stuff about vaping and stuff that's come out, in the last like few years, and it's probably like less popular as it might have been before. But like I've heard that the TWSBI Eco is often like mistaken as possibly a vape pen. Like if somebody just had this out on the desk, it kind of might look like one. But this one is far better for your health, by the way. So it's got the same German-made stainless steel nib that's on the swipe. But really the main calling card difference here is that larger ink chamber here that holds a lot of your choice of bottled ink. And also, too, is that what you'd be able to do, what comes with the TWSBI Eco is a piston wrench and silicone grease, which then would allow you to, from this aspect here, is to unscrew the entire piston mechanism out. And then let's say if you had like a really shimmery ink or a very saturated ink, or if you just left your ink in there for like a year, and you forgot to clean it out after finals, you could always then just take the whole entire mechanism out and then clean the barrel from this end, as opposed to like just kind of rinsing it out over and over again. But what do you think about the TWSBI Eco?
I like the red emblem on the top of both of them. To clarify, I don't vape. Thanks, Tom, for that. But I do really like the design. I'm not actually personally a huge fan of demonstrators, but I think this one's designed particularly well, and I think it looks not cheap. I think it looks well designed and well made, which I think is really important, because the whole point of using fountain pens is to seem luxury, right? No, I'm kidding. But I do think the way it looks is obviously very important, and I like how I think it's hexagonal. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah. On the cap.
Yeah, on the cap, which is really cool. And I also, again, as I said, all demonstrators are clear, but I appreciate the clear, especially to see how much ink there is. And Tom knows that I'm a huge fan of shimmery inks, and I know that shimmery inks can be bad for the pens, so the fact that you can completely flush it out is really appealing to me as well.
Very cool. So which one would you pick versus, because I know that you said you would go for a cartridge here, but like the TWSBI Swipe versus the Eco, which one would you like go with first, like if you were to choose between the two?
If I could only choose one to start off, I'd probably go with the Swipe, just because I'm leaving far, far away for college, and I don't know if I want to carry 1,000 bottled inks. That being said, there are travel-sized bottle inks here at Goldspot, so I think if that's something that you prefer, especially for shimmering inks, I'm assuming it's a lot easier to find in bottle ink form. I would probably still go with the cartridge to start off with, but who knows? Maybe in a year I'll be going to college with the Eco instead.
Look at you going for the upsell with we've got portable bottles of ink. Good for you. Good for you. I'm assuming it must be one of the accessories you might have seen or put on one of the products. Yeah. All right. So just like we did with the pencils and the multi-pens, we got to go for a luxury fountain pen. And I know that you had your eye on this. This is a Pilot Vanishing Point. This is what they call the Decimo, which is a slimmer and a little bit lighter of a weight, but mostly it's got everything else that you come to love about a Vanishing Point, but it's also a little bit less expensive than a Vanishing Point, which is good. But what's really appealing about it is that they also made them in some nice pearlescent type finishes, and it still has the heart of the pen, which is the 18 karat gold nib, which is retractable. It's a very unique aspect about this particular pen that has been a powerhouse in terms of its worldwide appeal as like one of the best retractable nib fountain pens in the world. So the Vanishing Point or the Decimo has like a great appeal for people who just need to take out a pen really quickly and then just write or sign something very, like at a moment's notice. And what do you think? Like, I know that you saw that and you were just like, this is like a pen that I must have. How do you think that would fit in your workflow? Or like, where would you see it be able to be used?
Isn't it just so pretty? I just really love the color. Firstly. Second of all, I think the retractable aspect of it is very convenient because this could be a weapon, but if you retract it, it's not, right? And something else that's really interesting that Tom actually told me is when you look at it, it looks like you can't tell which side's supposed to be the end and which side's supposed to be the head, right? But the reason they do that is because the clip's this way so that the ink doesn't go onto your clothes or anything when you're clipping it. And I think also a lot of these pens actually have clips, which is like this one over here. the mechanical pencil by Caran d'Ache also has a clip, and those are really convenient because when I'm walking around and I want to clip it to my notebook or something, or clip it to my shirt pocket, it's super convenient. And as Tom said, I really do love the Decimo and the Vanishing Point. There were two pens that I did have my eye on, so yeah.
Yeah, and what sometimes people might have an issue with is, like, let's say, for example, this Tornado, it's got a rollerball type refill in it. So, like, if I were to leave it, let's say, open like this with the point out and I put it in my shirt pocket, it may end up just seeping out all of that ink into my shirt pocket. But to what you were saying is that since the clip is at the front end of the pen, then you would then clip it, and there would be no way, unless you were clipping it, like, in a closed, like with a closed flap over it, there wouldn't be any way for that ink to then travel to like whatever that you're clipping it to, because it's like it's stuck upward and it would be away from anything else. So that's where it would be very different from something like the Retro Tornado. Would you consider that to be like too expensive, like you think, to bring with you to class, or do you think that, being that this is a $180 retail price, but we usually have it on sale for $144, like, do you feel that this is like too pricey to bring to class? Like, I mean, you are bringing, let's say, like, you know, $1,000 laptop or like your phone, you know, like, is this make you feel a little bit squeamish to bring a really expensive pen to class?
Okay, excuse my slang, but I would say this is a huge flex to bring to class. I think, like, you always want to show off, you want to have a good first impression when you meet your classmates, and I think this would be a great way to do so because it's such a cool pen. I wouldn't think that it's way too expensive because, as you said, we are in charge of such expensive electronics, and no one thinks of it as like we're too irresponsible, although sometimes I might think that of myself. But I just think it's a great everyday, I mean, it's not really everyday, but if you get this, I would use this every day because it's a easy, convenient pen. It has so many advantages, as I already mentioned, so I wouldn't be too squeamish to bring to college, I don't think. I think I would just try to milk as much of my money out of it as I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your money's worth out of it. And would you lend it to anybody if somebody would be like, "Oh, it's a really nice pen. Could I borrow that from you?"
Reluctantly, but yes. I know that people in the fountain pen community are nice. I know you guys are all really, really nice, and you guys allow you lend people your expensive pens. But I'm working my way there.
But the thing is, like, you have to, like, this is something that you need to know, is that, like, you have to know if the person is, like, also into fountain pens. They'll know that, you know, how to use it properly and not, like, jam on it, like, on the table, and then just all of a sudden you get the pen back and, like, the nib is just, like, out like that. That's what the spirit of the pen community is that they definitely everybody wants to really share their enthusiasm for writing. So, like, I commend you on that fact, but you also have to be very careful, being that, like, you know, this is your most expensive pen, this is your nicest pen, like, you don't want to just give it to, like, anybody in your class and then all of a sudden it comes back and, like, it doesn't write anymore because they smushed the nib. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So to move away from the traditional technology of the fountain pen and to go to a little bit more of a contemporary style and capability to interact with today's modern technology, is the Stylus pen. So this is the recommendation that I came across that I think that would be particularly appropriate. It would be the Fisher Capomatic. Not only because it has a touch capacitive stylus at the very top, you could use it on anything like Apple iPad or iPhone or anything that's touch capacitive, but then it also has a really cool push retraction mechanism and the patented Fisher Space Pen refill, which is pressurized and can write on the moon, it could write in space, it could write like underwater. I'm just trying to screw this back on now, and I'm having a hard time trying to get this back on. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. So the Fisher Space Pen refill can write underwater, in extreme temperatures, in zero gravity. It is a pen that you definitely want to have on you, like, even if you want to throw it in your glove compartment, because it can survive and be able to still write under such extreme conditions. And then on top of that, you've got the extra ability of the touch capacitive stylus on here, which then makes it very effective for, you know, if you're taking notes on an iPad or you just want to, like, do things on your phone without like, smearing up the screen and things like that. But I know that you have another touch capacitive type pen that you would prefer over this pen, which I didn't bring out, but we can mention it, which is the Fisher Bullet. Like, you like the Bullet a little bit better than this, right?
Is it touch capacitive?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there's the Bullet grip version that actually will have like the little same type of touch item that's on the one side of the pen, and then it also has the same Fisher Space Pen refill.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Bullet. I just think it's so cute, and I actually took one home from here. I did ask before taking it home. I didn't steal it, but I did take one home.
You heard it here, folks. He stole it.
But I do really love it. I think it's so cute, and the colors it comes in are so cute. And I actually used it on my graduation cap because a lot of people decorate the graduation cap, and I drew this really pretty picture with color pencil, but my pens weren't writing on it. And then I remember that the Fisher Space Pen would write on greasy surfaces. So I was like, let me try it out, and it did work. It worked really well. So that saved the day.
Yeah, and it doesn't rely so much on like gravity or like the surface itself to remove the ink, because it is pressurized. So it's continually, that cartridge is pushing the ink onto the paper every time that ball makes contact on the page. So like, it does work on instances like that. I know that there's one particular pen that we sell a lot of. It's the SR80. It's like the silver metallic one, and that a lot of people use on like tires and stuff. So just like really, just there's some really cool case uses that just are very unusual. But like, this is the type of pen that you would definitely want on you in like extreme circumstances, like you're out on hikes, or what would you think that would be like a good applicable, like being also that it's got a stylus on it too, like would you see like being able to use this pen
In college?
Yeah.
That's hard. I think like for me, if I were ever gonna go like traveling, I'm going to study abroad in London, and in my sophomore year, and if I ever want to go on plane rides, or just if I really want to travel anywhere, I would definitely bring this pen because it's so useful in so many different circumstances. Like, who knows, maybe I'll be in a boat and I have to write my name on a tag and everything's wet and I can't write anything. That's a specific circumstance that I would use the Fisher Space Pen on, though, because it can write underwater, supposedly, but I believe it.
Or if you took a ride up in a rocket ship with Jeff Bezos.
Oh, yeah.
For the couple of minutes that they were in space, that's when you'd be able to use this pen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's where I'm studying abroad.
So now we could go from the pen section. Now we're going to talk about notebooks. And notebooks, like, yeah, granted, like, there's lots of cheap like notebooks that are out there, composition, whatever. You could buy like 50 of them for a nickel at like Staples or whatnot. But like, when it comes to what we were talking about as our criteria, is like things that you would actually enjoy using, that would be fun to use, and also would be usable with the various things that we suggested here, which fountain pen ink friendly, markers, pencils, like stuff that would be able to handle paper, that would be able to handle that. What we were looking at is also like one of the least expensive ones, which is from Clairefontaine. And Clairefontaine has a variety of different notebooks in different sizes. Paper's all made in France, and it has some of the nicest, smoothest paper that we offer on Goldspot. And they're fairly not very expensive, like in comparison to, let's say, like looking at Tomori River options or other Japanese type papers, which tend to be pretty expensive, especially when you get high up in the page counts. But like, these come in a variety of different formats, so you can get like ruled. I think there's also the French ruled, and then some grid type notebooks. That one's got some pockets on it, so it's a spiral bound that's got some pocket dividers that then you could divide by subject matter. Do you usually do like multi-subject, like usually notebooks with multi-subjects and everything like that?
We can do that. Or if like you want to do one thing that said like the daily schedules and you want to write them out, and the next one's going to be like school notes or things like that. It doesn't even have to be like subjects. It could be like parts of your life that you want to separate. So yeah, I think it's definitely useful to have dividers. Yeah,
and I like also too is like having something pocket-sized, like this road book, is good just to have with you, like throw it in a bag or in a pocket, just in case like you need to jot down something. It's pretty useful like that, and it's also pretty rugged with the paperboard cover that's on here and the perfect binding, and then the little elastic closure. Just make sure it doesn't like flap open as you're carrying it around with you. So something simple like this staple-bound book only costs $4.50. If you want to go with the spiral-bound multi-subject book like you see here, this is $13.95. And then the smaller road book here is $11. But there's like a lot of them that are kind of in between and of various price, so it's like it's a range. You could find something that would be pretty good quality, and I know from experience, like back when I used to go to school way back in the day, that like I would start these notebooks like with certain subjects and I wouldn't fill the whole entire thing, you know. So like I know that like even if you gave me, let's say this is 96 pages, so even if you gave me 96 pages for like a whole entire year, I could probably fill up this whole entire thing with like every single subject if I needed to, because like seriously I would have so many notebooks and each one of them be for like one class, and then I would maybe fill up like a third of it and then the rest of it go to waste. But you don't want to waste this type of paper. This paper's good. So
I wrote a lot of articles about this, so I know, but since like fountain pen ink and rollerball ink especially are just more liquid based and they're water based, it's not really like the traditional ballpoint pen, which has more like fatty acid oil based ink where it will be thicker. It actually runs more, so you do definitely want to invest in better quality paper for that. If you put it into regular like really like bad quality paper, it will most likely bleed through and it won't have like crisp words that you're looking for.
And you'll only be able to write on one side of the page too, because like the other side will just either you'll see everything that you wrote on the one side or it will bleed through and it'll just be like a messy inky mess on the other side. Okay, so we've now entered the cute stationery items that you could then purchase for either for your desk, for your dorm, or as like a little, you know, just as something a little bit extra just to make you smile every day. So this little cute guy here is the crab pen holder. It is made out of PVC plastic and available in 4 different colors. It holds most pens because of its like kind of wide center of gravity that's here. So like you could pretty much put anything, even if it's kind of like somewhat back weighted or evenly balanced or whatever. It holds pretty much any pen that you put on it, and it looks adorable, right?
Yeah, I really like it. I'm such a big fan for these type of things, and I personally think this is just absolutely adorable. It almost doubles as room decor, I would say. If you put it on your desk, I would totally just place a little pen on there and then make everyone jealous and wish they had a crab for themselves.
Exactly. And you could just kind of like, you could flex in the classroom. You could go take one of these guys out, put your pen on it like in between like, you know, note-taking sessions, and and then people just start looking at you like, what are you doing with that? Especially when you're doing a little bit some decorating and trying to make your, you know, space your own, or make your dorm feel at home. You may want like some reminders, and especially since like we come from the Jersey Shore here, maybe you might want to bring one of those, like just to kind of like give you that little bit of home, you know, feeling that's there. The crab's like one of the fantastic accessories that we have on the Gold Spot website that people really can't get enough of. Like some of them, some people like buy them in all 4 colors or multiple crabs, like to hold all the various pens on their desk. And, you know, it's just something that, like I said, it brings a smile to your face when you see it. And then the last item that we were going to talk about here is the pen case that you could bring with you and also have as like a little bit of a display item as well. This is the Puni Labo stand pen case, and right now it's configured in the stand mode, but as we'll see when we could pop out the bottom, it's also like accommodating of like longer length type pens. So it actually can take up to pens of 6.5 inches long, and you just have to pop this, so like this little part,
okay,
actually you could probably just pull it out. There you go. That part pops out like that for when you want to, like, let's say take it with you, but then when you want to have it as a stand, you could pop it back in so that all of the pens then would stand further up, you know, so like it raises the bottom level so that your pens will be more accessible. And it's like super adorable too.
Oh, I love it. I saw it in stock and I was like, I want one for myself. And I requested actually Tom to put this in the video because I think more people should see this.
And it comes in 8 different styles. So that is the tan dog, which it kind of looks like a Shiba Inu, like the Dogecoin dog. But there's other ones like a penguin, a bear, there's a pig, I think, as well. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of really fun, colorful designs, and they all have that zipper around, and they all have that ability to pop up and pop down. They're made out of silicone, which is pretty easy to clean off with some water. So in case you get some, I don't know, whatever on it, like from your travels, you could pretty much wipe it easily from there. Just to mention prices, the Punilabo pen case is $19.95, and then the crabs are $7.95 a piece. In conclusion, looking at everything that we had out here, these are all writing tools, or like tools of someone who is a thinker, studier, whatever. Regardless of that, the curiosity to learn is like the most important item that you need to supply. Would you agree? Disagree? Yes.
I agree. It's a little cheesy.
I'm giving you some really cheeseball fatherly advice right now, but like, you know, I just like wanted to kind of like let everybody know that, like, you know, it's like we show a lot of very fancy pens here, and I'm not going to say that just because you buy these fancy pens you'll do any better in school than like if you bought like just the run-of-the-mill like office supply type pens, which is fine. It's just about making yourself, you know, feel more like excited to do the work, and to also give you like a leg up in terms of like the quality of because you don't want your pen all of a sudden leaking on you, or just like running out of ink as you're in the middle of a test. Like, you want something that you could rely on time and time again. Mistakes will be made, but that's what erasers and extra paper is for. So that's like another little bit of advice I'm going to impart upon you. You could just go the cheap route, but like I think that investing in yourself and your process always pays off time and time again. So like even if you say to yourself, you're just like, oh, you know, like I really don't want to justify buying like a super expensive pencil for myself, or a nice fountain pen or whatever, but like you're worth it, especially if it's something that you're going to be using a lot and you're going to really enjoy using it with like special inks and nice paper, and it will make you want to get down to work and really enjoy it. Then it's worth it because you're investing in yourself. I thank you, Phoebe, for joining us here and sharing your knowledge and your particular youthful experience with our audience, and giving like a nice, you know, counterpoint to my old fatherly, you know, self, so that you could just breathe some youthful life into this program here, and to give your opinion on various pens and stuff like that. I think our followers appreciate your thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys think of all of the things that we suggested by leaving a comment below. Phoebe, do you have any other parting words for our audience?
Yeah, good luck everyone who's going to college or is in college, or even people who are joining the workforce or in the workforce. Have fun, and yeah, as Tom said, invest in yourself. I'm still learning that myself, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And yes, good luck to everybody. Good luck, Phoebe. I think everybody is going to do awesome when it comes September, or in August, if maybe people are already starting. I don't know. If you're like Phoebe and love the Pilot Friction, you may want to check out a video demonstration of how the Rocketbook Wave notebook works here. Also, you can see a more in-depth review of the TWSBI Eco fountain pen over there. And then subscribe to the Goldspot Pens channel for more fine writing videos, pen reviews, and unboxings.
Thank you, and stay inky, my friends. Bye!